Moin Moin and welcome to Ralfs Foto-Bude. 2 weeks ago the Foto-Kina ended and the new models are coming to Ralfs Foto-Bude. So today I want to show you one of the very interesting cameras of the Foto-Kina. That's from Panasonic. That's the Lumix LX100. So the old model, the LX7, is like, I think it's almost 2 years old. So it was time for an update. And it's not only an update. It's not a complete new camera, but there are so many points which are upgraded from the old model that it is really not a small, it's a big step. Starting with the sensor of the camera. The old one had a 12 megapixel sensor, a small sensor, and the new one, yes, it has a real big and nice sensor. It has a micro four thirds sensor with 16 megapixel. So it's, I don't know if it exactly, but it's the same sensor which works in the GX7 or in the G6. They have the micro four thirds 16 megapixel sensor. But there's one point, the LX100 doesn't use the whole 16 megapixel, but only 12 megapixel. And the reason is we have, like the old one, the multi-format switch, which is here on top of the camera, where we can change between the different formats, 3x2, 16x9, 4x3 and 1x1. So these are the different formats and they use the sensor perfect. So it's not like cutting in the middle, but the 16x9 format goes a little bit wider. I can show you the different pixel resolutions later on the screen, so you will see what I mean exactly, and you will see that the sensor is used perfect for the different frames, for the different sizes. You could question why does the camera use not the whole frame size of the sensor for all the different formats. There's one reason, because the lens of the camera has to be as small as possible to get the best picture quality. And so in the edges of the lens you may have a little bit blur and the picture might not be so sharp like in a micro four thirds mirrorless camera. And so Panasonic used the middle part of the sensor where the picture is absolutely sharp, brilliant and clear, and the lens make the best work. This part of the lens the camera use, or this part of the sensor the camera use to get the best picture quality possible with this small lens. And there's another reason which I explain later why the camera doesn't use the whole sensor of 16 megapixel. The lens goes from 1.7 to 2.8, nominal focal length 10.9 to 43. That's for compared to a DSLR camera is 24 to 75 millimeter, 3 times zooms. So that's a real good value. It's a little bit less than the LX7. When I remember right, the LX7 goes up to 90 millimeter focal length and starts at 24 or 5, I don't remember, but it starts at this range. But the sensor was much smaller, and so the reason is that this one has a little less zoom in the tele area because the sensor is a micro four thirds sensor or 4/3 sensor, a little bit bigger. The aperture you change here with the front ring on the lens. You have the A position for automatic. At the side of the lens you can change between the different settings, autofocus, macro and manual photo focus. It's a little bit hidden, it's a little bit difficult for my big fingers to get this one, but it's still okay. I would place it at a other place, but it's okay. For me it's a little bit too hidden here at the side. We have a second ring on the lens. We have the first ring here to change the aperture, and we have a second ring for different options. I can show you later which options you have with this ring. Coming to the top of the camera, and here you see the next thing I will get later onto. This is the viewfinder. First of all, we have the external flash shoe. We have the dial to change the different shutter speeds up to 4,000ths of a second, on-off switch, and the switch to change the zoom. IA, the intelligent automatic. We have a filter button, and we have here the option to change the to make a exposure correction with this dial up to 3 or down to -3 focal, apertures. Sorry. Yes, what I said before, we have a viewfinder, a built-in viewfinder. The LX7 doesn't have the built-in viewfinder. At the LX7 we have the options to put an optical or electronical viewfinder in the flash shoe, but with the LX100 now we have the electronic viewfinder, and I can tell you this is a real good electronic viewfinder. High resolution, clear, crisp, sharp, perfect picture. In my opinion, it's almost like an optical viewfinder because you have such a clear picture, you don't see any pixels, and so for me it's not an optical, but it's almost the same like an optical viewfinder, and so I have a real perfect picture. I can change the menus, I can do everything with this electronic viewfinder, and I have a real sharp, perfect picture. I can focus, I can manual focus with focus peaking, and with a magnifier, and so I have everything here in the electronic viewfinder. And as I said in some of my former reviews of cameras, if you want to make serious photography and you want to design your pictures and make a little bit more than just point and shoot, you have to have an electronical or optical viewfinder, because if the sun is out there and the sun is bright, it's so difficult to work only with the screen here on the back side. And there's another very important thing. If you hold your camera like this, you can't hold the camera very stable. It's still shaking. Okay, the lens has an optical image stabilizer, but it's still shaking. You cannot hold the camera very firm, very steady like this. If you have a viewfinder, you put the camera in front of your eye, your head gives the third point, the two arms, and you can hold the camera very steady, and then plus the optical stabilizer, you can get real long exposure times and still get sharp pictures. So for me it's very important to stabilize the camera also with my head and use the electronic or optical viewfinder. So for me it's very important. So my suggestion, if you want to make real photography, not only point and shoot, take a camera with an optical or electronical viewfinder. Coming to the back side of the camera, here we have, as I said before, we have the electronic viewfinder, we have the FN button 1, FN 2 and 3, we have the start button for video, AF and AL lock, quick menu. When you know Panasonic cameras, you know the quick menu. I will give you later a little bit more information about the quick menu. Then you have the replay button, you have the dial and the forward button with ISO and the different settings here. If you look to the screen, unfortunately it's not a touch screen and it's a fixed screen, so it's not a turnable screen. I would love to see a touchscreen here also in this cameras. I don't know why Panasonic don't do this in cameras, in the upper class cameras. I don't know why, but I would love to see a touchscreen here, because once you get used to it, even in the quick menu, if you're in the quick menu, you can change the settings so fast by touching the screen. Here you have to go down and then move the cursor to the left or to the right side. So it's much more complicated, and once you get used to the touchscreen, it's very easy to use, very fast, and I would love to see a touchscreen also in a camera class like this. Okay, so we had the big sensor, we had the lens, we had the electronic viewfinder, which is new. Looking for program dial? No, the camera doesn't have a program dial. We only have the dial here at the lens to change the aperture, and we have the dial to change the shutter speed, and that's it. So we have the program mode, and the program mode is activated as soon as we use A here and A here, so the camera makes aperture and shutter by herself. If you want to set the aperture, just make the dial here and change between 16 and 1.7, and the shutter speed gets automatically. Otherwise, you can set the shutter speed and the aperture is set automatically, and for sure manual working the same, set the aperture and the shutter speed. If you work in one of the A positions or in the program position, both is in A, you can make the exposure correction here with this dial. So there are no other programs, there's no scene program, portrait, landscape or anything else. The only thing you have is here, that's the intelligent automatic. So if you press the IA button, you will see in the screen here the IA symbol, and the camera tries to check the scene and make the right decision. We see here now it's macro mode in the camera, and if you turn the camera a little bit, maybe we have landscape or stuff like this. So this is the only automatic mode beside the program mode we had, that's the IA button. The next one is the filter. Here we can set up some filters. You may know the filters from the other Panasonic cameras. We have the different things like retro, old days, high key, low key, sepia, monochrome, and we have individual settings. If I choose one of these settings here of the filters, I can change it here. The camera says press white balance to change the setting. I can press white balance, and I can make it a little bit more blue. Oops, sorry. I can make it a little bit more blue or orange. And so in the different settings, we have different options to set. And if there's an option, the camera says press white balance, and you have an option here to make different settings. I think it's, I'm not quite sure if it's the only one, but if you're in the sunshine, you have two settings here. We have one in the FN1 and one in the white balance. So if we press the white balance, we have the different color setting, yellow, red, blue and white for the sunlight. Oops, for the sunlight. And if we press FN1, we can position the sun on the scene here. So these are the different settings. So if you use the filters, know that you can make individual settings in the filters here. So no effect. So, but these are the only things you can do. No program mode, no scene mode, as I said before. Only the program and the different aperture or shutter priority, manual mode, and the auto intelligent or the intelligent automatic mode. Coming back to the sensor and to the next point, which is important and which is new in the LX100, and that is the video function. Cameras like this, it's absolutely usual that they have full HD mode 1920 by 1080 up to 50p or 60p AVC HD 28 megabits per second. That's absolutely usual. But this one can more. The LX100 is able to take 4K videos. 3840, yes, by 2160 points, and that's, or pixel, and that's the reason why the sensor is only 16 megapixel and only 12 megapixel are used, because when you go to the 4K mode, the sensor is read 1 pixel by 1 pixel, so 1 pixel of the sensor is 1 pixel in the 4K picture, no interpolation, nothing, 1 by 1, and so you get the best picture, the best possible picture quality in 4K, and that's one of the reasons why cameras like this, also the FZ1000, I make a review a little bit, I think 2 weeks ago. The FZ1000 has also this sensor, and when you go there also for 4K, the sensor is read 1 by 1. 1 pixel on the sensor is 1 pixel in the 4K movie. And so that's the reason why cameras like this with 4K mode doesn't have sensors like 24 megapixel or higher. So it's not very useful for 4K mode because it's not possible to make interpolation, or it's possible, but you need real powerful machines and or processors, and so by now for cameras like this we will have 1 by 1 for 4K mode. How you get in the 4K mode? If you go to the menu, go to the movie function, and here we have the rec format, and in the rec format we have AVC HD, best for HD TV, and at the next point we have MP4, best on PC. I don't think this is a good hint here on the screen, because you need to go to MP4 to get the 4K mode, because then we go to the rec quality, and in the rec quality we have the Full HD mode 1920 by 1080 50p, and we have the 4K mode with 24 or 25p. These are the two different, these are the two different settings. Pressed the wrong button. These are the two different settings you have in the 4K mode, which you can choose from. 100 megabits per second. That's almost four times more than in the normal Full HD mode, where we get 28 megabits per second. So this is the 4K mode at the LX100. But there's a small point I have to mention, because if you think, oh, that's real nice, not a cheap, but a camera not too expensive, and I can make professional, but I can make 4K movies in a professional mode, maybe with a rig and stuff like this. There's one problem. Panasonic didn't open the HDMI output. So there's no signal on the HDMI output, never. When you turn on the camera, it's only for replay, but it's not a real HDMI live output. You may remember the FZ1000. There I said that there is a HDMI live out. Yes, there is, but if you turn on the movie or start a movie, the live out is gone. So there's no live out anymore, so you only can save the movie on the SD card. But there's an option to solve this problem. When you use an external recorder to take out the HDMI signal and make an external recording, but this is only possible at the FZ1000 and not possible at the LX100. So there's no way to get the signal, the HDMI signal, out of the camera during you make a video, or during you make a 4K or a Full HD video. I think that's a pity, because this camera would be perfect also under copters. It's lightweight, it's about 300 gram, so you can put it perfect under copters. It's not too expensive, and so you would have a real good option to take 4K videos on a copter, but you need the HDMI output for the FPV signal, first person view signal. Yes, you can put a second camera on it and so on, but it's too complicated. It would be much easier if the camera would have the HDMI output. And another problem is we don't have a microphone in. So if you want to make real movies, you have to have a second audio recorder, because you only have the option to use the internal microphones, and they are never good enough for real movies, so you have to have an extra recorder. This is the second point. I would love to see on a camera like this a microphone in, and so you have a real nice small device for 4K movies would be perfect. I don't know why Panasonic didn't so, but I hope the next generation of cameras from Panasonic will have this, so they are a little bit more for the amateur, also in 4K, and it would help 4K much to get more into the scene than it is by now. Okay, so this is the 4K, what I explained for you. Let's have a short look into the menu, starting with the picture menu. We have the different photo styles, and here again, if you go to the black and white or monochrome style, you have the different filters here. You have the green for portrait, and you have the the yellow, orange and red filter for landscape. You get a real blue dark sky in the black and white, because the sky is real black if you use one of these filters. So yes, that's also a nice feature going back to natural. Here we have the picture size, and that's what I said before. When you go to the picture size in 3:2, you will see we have 4272, and now I turn the dial here to 16:9 and go again, and then we have a picture size of 4480, so it's wider, and so the sensor is used more in the wide, and so the sensor is used in each size is the optimum of the sensor, and so that's one of the reasons why they use a 16 megapixel sensor and use only like 12 megapixel in the different settings. You see here in 16:9 we have 11. Going to the 4:3 and have a look there, then we have 12.5 megapixels, so a little bit more than the 12 megapixel. Okay, so going back in the menu, we have the quality for sure. We have RAW and the combination RAW and JPEG. Then we have the different metering modes. We have burst rate. Here we have 4 settings: super high, high, medium and low. Then we have auto bracketing with different settings here. So we have here the different steps, starting from 3 steps up to 7 steps. That's the different bracketing functions. Then going self-timer, highlight, shadow. Here you can change the curve just by turning the dial on the back side and turning the dial on the front side. That's it. Then we have eye dynamic, we have eye resolution, HDR, multi-exposure, time-lapse, stop motion, panorama direction. Yes, panorama direction. I will show you later where you get the panorama function, because you have no dial for the panorama function. Shutter type, yes, we have 2 different shutter types. We have the mechanical shutter and we have the electronic shutter, which is absolutely quiet. We have red eye control, ISO limit, extended ISO. I'll show you later how the ISO range is long. shutter noise reduction, digital zoom, stabilizer. Yes, we have a stabilizer, and that's it. Almost the same settings, a little bit less and more is in the video. We have the rec quality I showed you before, and we have the picture mode. We have continuous AF metering mode, highlight, shadow. Again here we have eye dynamic, eye resolution, the different zoom settings. We have the microphone level adjustment. As I said before, no external microphone in, or no option to put an external microphone here on the camera, and the wind cut. Coming to the next point, and here is one point which is very important, that's the rec area. Because usually when you have a camera like the GX7, on the top dial you have the option to go to the movie section here, and once you go to the movie section, the camera changes automatically to the 16:9 format, which is the movie format. But if you use the LX100, the LX100 gives you the format which you've chosen here at the dial at the front of the camera. So if you make a movie and start the movie, I can press the button to start the movie, you will see you suddenly get the 16:9 format. You can change this in the menu. You have two options. One of the options is, before you make a movie, go to the 16:9 format, then you're exactly the same. And the other option, if you are mainly make movies, it's a good choice to set the rec area here at this menu from photo to video, because if you set this one to video, you will see we have the 16:9 format here on the screen. So that's exactly the format you will take when you make a video. So that's an important point. Another important point here in the menu is the, let's go up here, is the, where we are, is the silent mode. If you use the silent mode, the camera goes automatically to the electronic shutter. You will see the symbol here on the screen. This is the symbol for the electronic shutter. So be sure, if you change to the silent mode, that the camera uses the electronic shutter. And if you make pictures indoor with artificial light on concerts or museums or stuff like this, be sure that the electronic shutter won't spoil your picture, because the electronic shutter has the problem when you work in artificial light with the electronic shutter, you may get stripes in the picture. So please check before you make a lot of pictures, and at home at the computer you see, oh my god, all the pictures have stripes. Please check it before you use the quiet mode or the electronic shutter. That's very important. Also, if you take pictures of fast-moving objects, check it, because also in the fast-moving objects we have the rolling shutter effect, and so be sure that the electronic shutter works perfect with the scene you take. So that's very important. Okay, so switch back the silent shutter to off. What I said before is we have the panorama mode, but where is the panorama mode? Because there's no extra dial for the panorama mode. If you go here, press the down button, you will see the drive mode. And in the drive mode we have the different settings. We have the single shooting, we have the burst mode with different speeds. I showed you before how to change the speed. Here we have the auto bracketing. Also, I showed you before in the other menu where you make the setting for the auto bracketing. Here is only the point to choose the auto bracketing function, and in the menu you make the setting of the auto bracketing function. New function is the aspect bracket, and in the aspect bracket the camera makes one picture and save it in 4 different aspect ratios. So in all the 4 different aspect ratios you get 4 different pictures on your SD card. Next point is the self timer, and last but not least, that's the point we are looking for, that's the Panorama Shoot. And here in the Panorama Shoot, it's like usual, turn the camera, press the shutter release, and that's it. The camera automatically makes a panorama out of the single pictures. Now going back to the single mode. White balance, for sure, we have the different white balance settings, including the setting in Kelvin, and we have the ISO setting starting with ISO 100 in the low setting and going up, can turn the dial here, going up 24,600. The LX7, the former model, I think went up to ISO 16,000, so that's a little bit higher, the ISO setting here. Next point is the autofocus mode, and if we go to the autofocus mode, we have the different settings starting with the face and eye detection mode. Then we have the tracking mode where you can track subjects in your scene. Then we have the 49 area autofocus mode where the camera checks automatically the right autofocus field or the field with the highest contrast. New, which I showed you also in the FZ1000, that's the custom multi, and in the custom multi you have the option to set a focus area, a horizontal focus area starting from the lowest to the upper position. For example, if you make landscape photography and you always want the foreground sharp, you would go and make a setting like this, because here's the foreground, the autofocus area is in the foreground, so the foreground is sharp, and the background maybe also sharp, but maybe also unsharp. That's your decision to change the aperture. But one thing is sure, the foreground here is absolutely sharp. You can change this also, go in the background, and now the background is sharp. This is the autofocus field. To make the settings, I think you have to press FN2. I'm not quite sure. No, that's the Wi-Fi button. Sorry for this. You have to go in the menu and then go like this, and then you can change the setting. Okay. Next point is the AF mode. Here in the AF mode, we can in the AF mode. Sorry for this. I'm gonna press the button here. And in the AF area, you see we have the AF field here. You can move the AF field with the four-way button, and you can change the size just by turning the dial. That's the biggest size, that's the smallest size, and here we move the autofocus field on a point where we want to have it. That's the one area, and even smaller than one area is Pinpoint. And in the Pinpoint, exactly the same. You can move the Pinpoint to a place where you want. The only thing is the Pinpoint is limited to the middle area, so you can't move the Pinpoint to the whole area like the one point which I showed you before, the one area point. You can move it all over, and the Pinpoint is only in a certain area here in the middle of the scene. So that's the difference, but it's a little bit smaller than the one area point. Okay, so these are the most important settings. I hope I didn't miss anything. No, I think I didn't miss anything. We have here the different settings. Oh, yes, one thing I mentioned before. And that is, okay, peaking for manual focus, I said. What I said before is we have the dial guide. No, that's not what I want to show you. Remaining display FN button set. Yes, you can set the FN buttons, and here we see the symbol for Wi-Fi, and yes, the LX100 has a built-in Wi-Fi module, and it's exactly the same like all the Panasonics. You can transmit pictures, in the background while you shoot. You have the remote control in your smartphone to make a remote control, so you have all the settings here which you know from the other Panasonic cameras. And here we have the control ring. That's what I want to show you, the control ring here in the front side of the camera. Here you can make different settings. You can make different settings with the control ring. One more. Here we have the control ring, and you can choose between the normal setting, zoom, step zoom, sensitivity, white balance, and filter select or off. That's it. So you have the different settings, and as you can see here now, I cannot change the settings with the ring by now. Quick menu, IA button switch. That's one thing. If you accidentally press the button often, you can change it from single press to press and hold, and so it's a little bit better. I have big fingers, and for me it happens sometimes that I press the IA button accidentally, and so I would change this option to press and hold and not single press. I can show you the difference. Press and hold means you have to press and hold. Then you can change. Another one is only press. So that's the difference between these two options. And I would say press and hold is a little bit better, a little bit easier. You see now I can press very fast. So press and hold is a little bit better to do this. Yes, so these are the main or the most important settings here of the LX100. Picture quality is good because you have the same sensor like in the G6, like in the GX7. So the big sensor gives you a real good picture quality, sharp, crisp pictures. You can check the picture quality by yourself if you go to my Flickr account. That's much easier than to show here in a low resolution video, high resolution pictures. And it's much easier when you take the pictures by yourself or grab the pictures by yourself. You can download the pictures, you can compare it with other cameras. And so that's the best thing. In my opinion, the picture quality for a camera like this is very good on a very high level. Good details, low noise in the low ISO settings, noise starting for sure in the higher settings, but it's still acceptable and it's still very good picture quality in the high ISO settings. But as I said before, everybody looks different to the pictures and to the noise, so compare it by yourself. Go to my Flickr account and check there the picture quality by yourself and decide by yourself whether it's good or it's not good enough for you. For me, this is a real nice camera. It's small, lightweight, has everything I need, good picture quality, good video function. The only point is the HDMI out. There's no HDMI live out and no microphone in. These are the 2 points which I would wish to see on a camera like this. Okay, we have also the touchscreen which I miss, but that's okay. That's not one of the biggest points here. But all over we have a real nice camera, easy to use. We have the direct dials for aperture and shutter speed, correction dial. So we have everything we need in the camera to work very fast and very perfect, very nice with this camera. I like the clean dials and the clean options to change the different settings, to not go into too much menus, and so for me that's really nice, a really nice camera. Oh, one thing I should mention. There's no internal flash anymore because we have the viewfinder here, so there's no internal flash anymore, but we have the flash shoe, and Panasonic gives with the LX100 a small external flash with. So if you buy the camera, you have an external flash or you have a flash. It's not a built-in flash, but still a flash which you can use on the camera, and it's included. So yes, we have a flash, but not internal. So this is the brand new Panasonic LX100 16 megapixel micro four third sensor, 3x zoom, 4K video, electronic viewfinder, high-class electronic viewfinder. So real nice camera, everything you need. That's it. Hope you enjoyed my presentation of the Panasonic LX100. If you like this, please give me a like, subscribe to my channel. If you want to buy the camera, you can support me if you buy at Amazon. The link is also here under my video. Yes, and thank you for watching. Come back again. There are coming up some more Photokina news or Photokina cameras here on my channel. The next one may be the X30 from Fuji, and so it goes on one after the other. So thank you for watching, and as always I say bye and moin moin.